Hi there. Welcome to Courageous Conviction. Remember that Jeff and I sit down and we discuss a topic or a theme. Sometimes things are more a little sensitive than others that many of you don't want to talk about. Our road back to the covenant path and to finding our Savior Jesus Christ was not an easy one. We both got way out there. We have a lot of experience. We put a lot of study and a lot of our knowledge together when we're discussing these topics or these themes. We may go down many rabbit holes. So we have 5 episodes each week that we hope that you'll come back and join into before we bring things around full circle. So please hit the like button, subscribe, and let's get started.
Of going back to that, and when I say incapable, that just means that, like I said, right now, the idea of smoking a joint or taking a drink of alcohol is grotesque. I mean, I really, and that's what it says in the scriptures. We will look upon sin, I'm very unfavorably, right? So, even though we have been sinners and we have sinned, but the whole emphasis that we are sinners kind of thing, that's this evangelical kind of stupid idea. And that's the way AA was born, with this idea that we're all sinners and that we're incapable of doing anything else.
Maybe it's not stupid. It's just maybe less.
Well, I'm sorry if it offends somebody, but I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
So, because it's not true, so, hey, the thing is that you got to be able to change that mindset. The only way you're going to do that is through God, right? That is the number one. Here's the one-step program, believe in God and believe that God can change you. Believe that you're a better person, and believe that you are enough. And how do you get there? Well, there's a process, I'm hoping that down the road I can go with my book and help some recovery centers and find people where I can actually, and I have clients that I work with through RTTC. Rapid Transformational Therapy, RTT, and help people. And I've been working with people. I worked with this guy that who was an alcoholic, around Christmas time. I had worked with him prior to Christmas, and he was worried about getting through Christmas without drinking, because then he was just gonna, kill it.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah,
hey,
and he got through it.
We got like 2 minutes to wrap up. Why would you wrap up with that?
Well, wrapping up is that we are good enough, right? And once you start thinking that you are good enough, then you become empowered, and you're empowered through God and through this innate ability to see yourself as a child of God. And when we see ourselves as children of God, and we see ourselves through the lens and the worldview and the whole eternal view of our Father in heaven, we see ourselves differently and capable and strong, which is what we really are. And going back to our noble beginnings, when we were spiritual children of our Father in heaven, and I'm spiritual children of our Father and Mother in heaven, as far as that's concerned, we start realizing really where we come from, and that we are capable. And we start doing away with this whole idea that we are doomed sinners, and that we're incapable of change, and that and going down that rabbit hole that you never get out of. The idea that we're good enough is the most important thing, and I think that is the message that Jesus Christ is trying to tell us, is that of course we need God, and of course we need to change from within, and it's not easy. It's not easy to change that, but I can tell you right now that it's very possible. People do it all the time, and I'd love to talk more about it. I know we've got to go, but you are empowered. You are good enough to go through whatever addiction and get over it. That doesn't, it includes pornography. I've helped people with pornography addiction. I've helped people with alcohol addiction. I'm working with a lady right now that she keeps getting into these, these other programs, and they're not helping her, and if you look at the rates, 3%, 6%, whatever you want to call it, these are numbers that are coming out from AA, themselves, that's their success rate. If you went to the doctor and you said, hey, okay, I got cancer, and the doctor said you've got a 6% chance to live. I mean, and that's That's at the top of the success rate, right? I think I'd be looking for another doctor, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. That 6%, that's not a number that I'm going to go with. I'd rather get a much higher number and have a much higher success rate. And it doesn't start by telling yourself you're a dirtbag. It starts with telling yourself that you're good enough. And you got to have our Father in heaven and the atonement of Jesus Christ. And once you implement that program, whether it's the church's 12-step program, or another program, that's a good start. But eventually you're going to have to believe to your core that you are good enough. And I think that comes with some psychological training,
And I think,
and
Jeff, some things I know that
reprogramming the mind.
some things I did to program myself, like you're talking about now, is I actually took it and I wrote down everything. I wrote down my goals. I wrote down a little bit of PMA in the mornings to get myself to think differently about myself, right? And to remind myself of who I was and my capabilities. And so I would have my mirror and I go in there and I'd say, remember, you're a child of God, you're a God in embryo, and act like one today.
Yeah.
And I would kind of give myself in a command form too. I wasn't asking myself. I was telling myself, you need to be this way because this is who you are. And so I just had to surround myself, even pictures, some dream of maybe the idea you want. Find some pictures and make a collage and put that up in your
Right.
room so you can
All
see
things are
what
good.
that better future is. And you're striving for that every day, right? And
Well,
so
the
those are
church
things
talk
that help me.
church talks about meditation, and this is where this comes from. If you put yourself in a trance every day for 21 days, you can get over anything, right? So meditation, self-induced meditation,
So if you can
or
do if you can reform a new habit, is it 21 days or 30 days or something? It's like a month or something like
three,
that, right? If you can
three,
reform that new habit, then you can
21
begin.
days is the magic number, So, and if you do that every day, every morning, listen, to a tape, or you go into, you don't have to listen to it. I do tapes for people. That's, and, and take them down into this trance state of mind, but you can do it to yourself. I do it to myself all the time, and I'm trying to change certain behaviors, or develop a better behavior, a reading habit, whatever it is, because your mind is so powerful that when you tell
Yeah.
yourself these things, and every day, and you put yourself, once you tune things out and you get into that alpha mode, then then what you start doing is this ability to change behaviors from their core. Your core beliefs become changed, and that,
It,
and that's the important side of things, or
I
that's the
want
important ingredient there, of
to
getting
I
over
want to just compliment you on that,
addiction.
but on that and your ingredients. It's so true though that the mind is more powerful. Years ago when I was younger, after my mission, I got into bodybuilding, right? And I
Yeah,
did all these studies and so forth. And I was a small guy. I was always muscular and fixed. I wrestled and played football, and so I was just like this three-sport guy, and I was always athletic, and I was always very well fit. But for bodybuilding, you got to get muscle mass and size. And I tried and I tried and I tried, and I finally got to this point with mind over matter, right? And to
yeah.
summarize things,
Mental
I remember a
conditioning.
guy yeah, when a guy came to me in the gym and the trainer, and he said, "Hey, you want to do a competition?" I'm not doing a competition. No way. No, I can have you ready for on stage in 6 months. I said, "You can't. How am I going to get on stage in 6 months?" Well, in 6 months, I did get on my first stage. It was full in front of about 2,000 people, and I placed. I got like a medal there. That. But what taught me was this. When he told me, he said, "Look, you're probably not going to go on to win any overall championships because you're small. The bigger guys will win those overall championships." Well, my mindset was I started to begin to visualize myself standing on a stage at these bigger shows against these bigger guys and beating them and taking those titles.
Right.
And I did. I was able to I took 3 overall titles.
And
Um,
that's what I'm
you
talking
know,
about. That's what I'm
but
talking about.
here's my point. In Flex Magazine, back when Flex Magazine was a big thing, and Muscle Mag, I was in Muscle Mag, 3 or 4 times, and I'd walk in the gym, they'd have posters of me up on the walls and stuff. You know, after they would come out after a certain contest, and I got an interview for Flex Magazine, and it was this. I was up and coming. I got an offer from MPC to go pro. Um, but my point being, I was a small guy. And like you're saying, I just visualized myself a bigger guy. And when I was standing next to him on stage, things just happened, Jeff. I
Yeah.
wasn't bigger than him. I wasn't bigger than those people. But what happened was
Yeah.
interesting because it's where how the Lord works things out, right? And now I'm not saying he did this for me to win the title, but I remember one in particular, the biggest title I won, and 2 guys that had a chance of winning it just they started shadowing out the bigger guy. And so the judge could only see me, and I beat him, right? Just things happen. And it wasn't anything I collaborated with. It just happened. Point being that when we put to it, that's the power of the atonement. The doors will open up, and we just kind of get up every doggone day, get back on that flipping horse. Get thrown off, get back on, get thrown off, get back on until you finally figure it out. That's my experience, and you see you finally there, but you got to see yourself differently. You're right, Jeff. 100%.
All people have to see themselves differently. Exactly, is what you're saying, is what we're talking about here. When you put yourself down and you don't see yourself as big enough, even that guy was a lot bigger than you were, so the only way you're going to be able to overcome that guy is when you don't look at his size. You don't look at the grief behind, what that guy's going to do to you once he gets a hold of you. You're going to take him down, right? You're going to overpower him, even though he's bigger than you. And
I look at him as any sin, right? Any obstacle in our life. Do we?
That's a great connection there, because when we look at sin and that's so big, and so we're so incapable of overcoming that, we just keep thinking that we're sinners, which is the wrong way to think. We have to look at the vision behind being successful. All successful people are visionaries. When they look at down the road, they had to have a vision. They had to think of something appropriately, and that's really right. I don't see why other people don't understand that side of it, and they want to go back to the idea of being negative. That whole negative self-talk, is really what is. If that's going to be your vision, then no wonder you never get out of it, right? You've got to change that mindset. Mindsets are very important, and if you don't have that mindset, and you don't have that vision, don't expect to overcome. The only way you're going to overcome is by really changing it and really believing it. It's not an easy thing to believe when we believe our core beliefs are that we're a dirtbag. But we're not. We're children of God. And you can overcome it. Absolutely. Good.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap it up now. I hear monsters wrestling, getting out of bed. And soon this kitchen is going to be invaded with breakfast seekers. So, Jeff, I want to thank you. Jeff's book, we can down below. You can
check it out. Check it out. Read and tell me what you think about it. It's a story of overcoming. I don't think people can't say that that I wasn't addicted. I the people that I know that read the book, like, wow, how many times did you screw up? I'm like, a lot.
It's not an easy road back, but it's one that is obtainable if one truly desires it. And it is, and it's constant. I had so many problems that I'm still trying to weed out some. It's like, I'm much better at things, but it's been this process over the last 15 years. And I've had a higher. Things were better at times, and things sometimes lax, and that's when you got to hold on that rod of iron, hold on that faith, and remember yourself. That's why I think it's really important to write your goals down, put them up on the wall. Visualize things so you can see it. It's in your face every day. Jeff, last words.
Practice being a better person because you believe it. I think that's the most important thing.
Because you are a better person, not just because you believe it, but
you are enough. Right.
Yeah.
You are enough.
We can overcome anything. We can.
Mm-hmm. All addiction boils down to the one thing: we think that we're not enough. And once you change that to its core, that's when you win.
Well,
and the best way to do that.
Well, let God be our God, not our addictions. Right.
Right.
Courageous Conviction. We'll see you next Saturday. But please remember, if you like this content, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. We really need help to get to try to build up. We're trying to shoot to that first 500 subscribers. It's just real simple. Just touch that little button down there, the gray one, to turn black, and then hit the thumbs up button. That helps us get out in the algorithms, helps people find us, and send our link to your friends. This is what Jeff and I do. Jeff and I I would consider ourselves well studied, not just well studied, but well educated in the world as far as where our travels went. Not necessarily just travels for vacationing, but studies abroad for years. Mine encompasses a whole 20 years of my life, and Jeff as well, maybe even more. So please, we're trying to get through the tough times. You talk to those things that are on the fringe that people don't really want to talk about today in the church or even in Christianity, the things that need to be talked about so we can have a much better understanding and we can go forward and magnify ourselves and our callings. Today we talked about addiction, and next week we'll talk about other issues that are out there right now that will help us to become better sons and daughters of our Father in heaven. Courageous Conviction, we'll see you in our next video. Have a good day,
Thanks.
Jeff.
Thanks, everyone.
You've just finished listening to Creative Conviction. Jeff and I, we put a lot of work into this, and our life's experience has been a lot of effort to try to get back to where we are now. We hope that you can learn something from us and share with us what your thoughts are down below. We'll see you in our next video.